All right, everybody, we are about to get started. This is, I believe, my fifth call. So thank you, everybody, for coming. I hope this is helping fill the void between not having football and being stuck at home. There's a lot more that I'd like to do with this. I'm very close to announcing our first guest host, but that'll be coming up hopefully next week. So stay tuned for that. The person that I'm looking at is just getting their film ready and would love to be able to present to the group. So stay tuned. I will let you all know via email once I have that confirmed when our guest coach is going to be coming in and talking. But it's a good one and a familiar face to a lot of you from the Dickinson camp. So today we're going to talk about rub routes and what I like to call man beater concepts, but they can work against man and they can work against zone. So our agenda today, if we hop right in, is to again talk about some warm-ups. This is my second day doing receiver warm-ups. We're going to move to running back warm-ups on Thursday, stuff that I like to do during skill and drills time with the running backs. But today we're going to finish off with receivers. I'm going to show you 3 new drills, ones that I like, and like I said, you could take them and do what you will with them. Then we're going to look at some rub concepts and some cross concepts, both of which are hoping to confuse defenders or at least make them run through each other, creating a mismatch that really works well to the offensive way. Okay, so first drill that I want to talk about, and again, I talk about pre-practice workouts a lot. I will also call them early outs. For me, any skill position, any lineman, pretty much any football player should be doing pre-practice early outs. The only person who's really responsible for you getting better is for you, right? So show up 15 minutes early, grab a football, pick a different pre-practice drill to go through, whether it be working on your mesh points if you're a quarterback and a running back, or working on firing out if you're a lineman, whatever you want to do, get your pre-practice workouts there, okay? Be responsible for your own development. So one of the pre-practice drills that I like to do is called clockwork, okay? So again, this is standing, one partner standing about 5-10 yards away. You're going to have the stationary partner throw the ball at you, and you're going to throw it at different points, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock. Go all the way around in a circle, go clockwise, go around counterclockwise. The whole point of this is to work on where your hands need to be in different times. Focus on eyes to tuck. Again, can everybody hear me? Okay, so Danny can. We have a couple people saying they can't. Okay. So Mateus and Nicholas, I'm going to get you guys to rejoin the call and go from there. Put it in the waiting room. Still trying to work out all the kinks of this stuff, and sometimes it gets overloaded and all the sound doesn't transmit. Okay, so again, back to the pre-practice drill called clockwork. Go around clockwise, go around counterclockwise. Really focus on eyes to tuck. If you look at the person in the picture, especially the third screen here, the third picture, his eyes are focused on the football. He's going to look it right in. This is where habits are formed. You don't do things in a game that you haven't made habit in practice. So 15 minutes, catch 20 balls this way. Next day, do a different drill, but make sure you're focusing on getting your eyes to the football, eyes to tuck. Catch with your eyes first, your hands second, your body third. Okay? So that's a pre-practice workout. Let's hop into a practice drill that I like. Okay? This is a sideline drill. Quarterback stands on the sideline, so right on the line. This works especially well if you're warming up where there's a turf field or where you have lines drawn on the field. You have your quarterback line up on the sideline. The receivers are going to line up about 10 yards away from them, run 5 yards up, make a hard cut to the sideline. My spelling is terrible there. There we go. the quarterback will throw the ball slightly out of bounds, and the receiver focuses on making the catch while keeping the feet in bounds. So this is working two skills. It's knowing where your body is, and it's also working your eyes, making sure that you're looking the football in coming from there. I have some video of this. Give me 1 second to pull it on up, and we can go from there. Here we go. I'll just make this full screen. Okay, keep in mind, I haven't been able to get outside with any number of players, so I can't record any of the drills. So I'm doing my best to pull them off of other people's stuff. So forgive me if they're not 100% or if they're ancient. But here, let's run this drill here. So I would line them up a little bit further, but this coach has them lined up about 3 yards. He's going to throw the ball himself. Sorry, I'm just going to add one more player here. Perfect. Rami doesn't have audio. Give me 1 sec, Rami. Let me see here. Just want to do a check to see if anybody else doesn't have audio. If you don't have audio, I'm going to ask you to leave the call and then rejoin, okay? I'll give you a couple seconds to do so.
Hello, hello.
Yeah, I can hear you. And then you're muted. Can you hear me now, Mateus and Nicholas? Okay, I'm going to get back started. Like I said, if you don't have audio, just leave the call and rejoin. I'll add you back in. But back to the drill. Okay, so this is a sidelines drill. You're going to see this player come up, cut friendly down the line, and head towards the sidelines. You want to keep your eye on the football. You want to keep your feet in bounds. So let's run through the drill here. Okay, so this coach has him doing it a little bit different. He's going to have him side shuffle and then make the cut. I don't like that. I like him just going ahead. So pretend that this player is just going to run ahead. Okay, as we go back, player is going to run, plant his feet. Notice the head is over the heels. Very important when you're making a cut. You know, this is a nice, compact, in control body. And we're good to go here. He's going to make the cut. Notice he's going to finish just a little bit friendly here. So if pretend there's a DB here. If he leaks this up, this is easier for the DB to close on, right? So we want to come back about half a yard on any routes that's going to be a flat line coming back to the quarterback. Called a friendly finish. You're going to hear me talk about that a lot. You're going to hear other coaches talk about that a lot. Head up, eyes on the football. Now, if you look here, this player gets kind of lucky because how is he catching that football without looking at it, okay? So I would prefer his head to be back, eyes on the ball, but that's okay. We'll let him go. Next receiver comes up, running the same drill. Run, he's going to plant. Like this plant. And he is going to, bad camera angle, but again, nice friendly finish. I don't like the head position. His head should be back looking at the football. I know it's tough to do when we're trying to keep our feet in bounds, but still, we'll watch one more player go, see if I can get Some nice eyes to tuck here. Nice cut. That's what I'm looking for. He has his helmet focused right on the football. He's got a nice friendly finish, and he's making his cut. So yes, that is the sideline drill. Any questions on that one? Okay, with that, let's hop into our next drill. If you have any questions, again, feel free to put them in the chat box. So this is our 4-cone drill, or I like to call it a box drill. You set up 4 cones in a square 5 yards apart, and you start with each receiver going 10%, then 50%, then 75%, then 100%. I really want coaches for you to take this time to slow your players down, make sure we're doing it right at 10%, then gradually increase the speed. Okay, this is an everyday drill for me because it really helps teach proper body mechanics. When you're coming into a cut, plant your outside foot and rip your elbow. So what I mean by that is you plant your outside foot, head over top of it. You're going to take your elbow, you're going to rip it like you're elbowing somebody in the side. What that's going to do is it's going to turn your body, making it easier for you to make the cut, right? Focus on not changing your level too much. So if you go from a really tall position to a very low position, it's going to tell the DB that something's happening. You don't want to give it away. And then at the end, because this is receiver time, coaches always make sure you end a drill during your receiver time with a football being thrown at them. The reason why I like to do that is because a receiver can go through an absolutely whole practice without one football being thrown their way. And that doesn't work a skill that we should be working all the time. So I have some video of this. I'm going to show you that, and then we're going to hop into a rub concepts, and we'll go from there. So next video here. I stole it right off the internet. It's a box drill, right? 4-cone box drill. Have the player come in 100%, rip his elbow. Watch this plant here, okay? This player is going to plant. I don't like how he planted here. He's really far out. I would prefer him to be head over his toes and then make his cut from there, okay? Come on in, and then at the end, have a football for him to catch. Okay, we'll move ahead to another look, going the other way. Plant, rip, plant, rip. Now, if we go back a little bit here, if we go back just a little bit here, okay, as he's coming in, I still don't like his leg reaching. I prefer his helmet to be here over top, but that's okay. You know, that's why I want you to start doing this drill slowly and build up the speed. Eyes in, go from there. Let's watch one more player go through. Let me cut ahead here. Coming in, plant, rip. That's a nice elbow rip right there. See his elbow? He's going to drive his elbow down and over, right? Opening his body up, coming in, plant, rip, and go from there. Okay, so that is our warm-up today. Now we get to hop into the main course here. Okay, so rub cross routes are designed to mess with man coverage for the most part, but they can be successful in zone coverage. In fact, I did not find a whole heck of a lot of good video that showed man coverage here, so we're just going to have to make do. But it creates moments of 2 receivers crossing paths. So if we have receivers know where they're going, defensive backs do not, right? So if we create situations where at some point during the route, we cross each other, or we make it look like we're going to cross each other, or we get very close to each other, it's going to force DBs or linebackers to have to what I call bubble. Okay, we don't want to call it a pick. I see Coach Ford's on the call. He's going to get mad at me. He's a DB coach. He's going to say pick plays are illegal. So I'm not going to tell you to pick anybody, but what I want you to do is create bubbles. Okay, The way you create bubbles is by taking up space and making a defender go around you. I've got some great looks at that. When we do rubs or crosses, it's going to create situations where our receivers or the men that they're responsible for get lost by the DBs. Since, for the most part, these are man coverage beaters, we should be running them at speed. And if we do this well enough, we can create busts in the coverage, right? We can create a situation where we could get a 9 going down the field with nobody covering them, and that creates a big win for the offense. So let's hop into some video here. If there's not any questions, again, if you have any questions, feel free to ask. I will answer all we've got. Got about 20 or so clips here. So let me get this, and then let me get my notes up. Here. Give me 2 seconds. Okay, so this is a deeper, play 1 is going to be a deeper rub concept here. Going to have the receiver motion over. That's going to tell us we're looking at some sort of zone coverage, although we did have a receiver bounce out. So these 2 receivers are in tandem. They're going to be running 9s, and the whole point of their 9s are to force off the deep coverage. This player is going to run up and cross underneath. Okay, by crossing underneath, hopefully his defender is going to get lost, and we're going to create a situation where we catch a ball in stride and we can make a play. This is a very good team we were playing against. Receivers are a little bit late, but as you see, that rub works. We have a nice catch, and we can make some yards there. So right here, we've created a bit of a bubble. This player should be responsible. We've created the right bubble. Right there, we make a nice catch. And if we don't have a linebacker making a tackle there, there's plenty of room for yak yards, right? So that's the whole point of this. So watch that one more time. Okay, this is a deep rub concept. Right underneath, catching the ball right in front of the defenders. Again, there's no contact with the defenders, because if you were to make contact, that's illegal, right? So what we want to do is take the space they want to be in on these sort of plays, okay? Play 2, we're going to move to a 2-man rub concept, right? So as we walk through it, okay, we have these 2 receivers. You can watch the 2 up top. It's the same play too. Okay. Now, this isn't the best decision from our quarterback here. We get a really nice catch, but what this player is going to do is he's going to come down. This player is going to come across. Okay. What he's going to be taught to do, the wideout's going to be taught to post up right in front of the halfback, right? So if the halfback runs into him, that's on him. Okay. We're just trying to take up space. Sorry, just one sec. We have a couple of players trying to join here. I want to make sure I'm getting everybody in. Okay, so his whole point is to take up the space that the defender needs to be in. If done right, we could take a 5-yard play into a big play. Now, again, this is zone coverage. So we throw to the wrong guy, and we get quite lucky here that this isn't a pick 6 going the other way. But as you can see, if this was man coverage, the defender covering the wideout or covering the slot would be blocked by the wideout. He'd have to go through him, and that's exactly what we want on this play. Okay, so we're creating a natural rub, and we're creating a play that builds space for the offense. The big advantage we have as offensive players is we know where the ball's going ahead of time, and the defense doesn't. So a little progression off that, same sort of look. It's a 2-man rub concept, right? And after we hit this enough, Okay, coming down, right? Get as close as you can. This player should be a little bit closer. The closer we get for this, the better it works. If this was man coverage and this was man coverage, we'd have a situation where this guy gets blocked off by the wideout, right? And then we're going to wheel it up. Okay, it's going the other way on the other side. Nice catch was made. But again, this is a really good example. The reason why I put this one on the cut up is even though it's zone coverage, rub concepts and crossing concepts screw up where defenses think players are going to be, right? So if they're expecting you to be somewhere and you're not there, sorry, I jumped ahead. Okay, we can create busts in coverage. And the perfect example are these two defenders here. Okay, they're both in a position to cover that deep route, and both of them lose their guy. And now the quarterback just needs to pin it in between the chasing defender and the safety. He makes a nice throw. That's a successful play. But it all comes behind kind of messing up where defensive backs think you're supposed to be. Okay, play 4. We'll run this through here. This midget season against Prairie Fire. Okay. This play is going to be a short rub, right? So he's going to run across, turn it up. This player is going to cut underneath. Okay, and I want you to focus on this player. His responsibility is to get as deep as he can and make sure nobody beats him deep. But let's watch what happens. As Blaze comes through, he's not sure whether he's covering the wideout or the deep guy. He turns his hips, and he doesn't really commit to a player. And we've got a lane, and we've got a nice catch, right? So again, it all comes down to setting up situations where we can do things that are a little bit confusing and to create situations where the DBs don't know what's going on. For the most part, a DB's worst fear is being beat deep. Okay, they are fine if you take 5 or 6 yards away. Look at this player right here, the under, right? So we've created the rub. If we decided not to take a shot, and I believe I told Danny that I think we had a shot here to take it, but if we throw this under, we have all of this space, right? As long as this player motors down, we have all of this space created by the rub. We have confusion in the backfield, and that's exactly what we want as an offensive team. Okay, I'll let you finish the play so you can see the catch again. It's a nice play. Okay, we're on to play number 5 here. Okay, different type of rub play, right? And what I'm trying to do is show you different ways you can use this concept or this technique. So we have 4 receivers up top, wide out down. We're going to come across. This inside guy is going to cross as well. Okay, and what we want to do is create a situation where people chasing have to bubble. Okay, so number 20 is chasing in. We cross the line. The player that's responsible for the inside slot is actually this player right here, and we have a big cushion now, right? It might not be a crazy successful play, but we've created space. And that's what we're trying to do with these crossing routes and these rub routes, right? If they get close enough to each other, right here, we have space and we have some time and we have the ability to turn this into a big play. This kid was a great player. He makes a great tackle. He's a draft pick from the Stampeders right now. So he was a really good football player. If anybody remembers the Hardy Cup this year, he was the player that made a pick 6. But we get a good play here, lots of yards after the carry, and it all comes from a 3-yard pass, right? So again, we're trying to set up situations where the offense can be successful without taking a lot of risks, right? I like this because we don't take a penalty for interference. We make a 4-yard throw, quarterback stays alive, and they have one player who can make a play, right? That's a good play. Moving on to play number 6. Okay. It's a different type of rub play. This is more of a flood concept, but I like to set my flood concepts up like a rub as well. Okay, notice these two receivers are in tandem. The whole point of this is they're going to go upfield together, and the inside slot is going to get as close as he can to the slot back to cut off him. Hopefully in man coverage, this forces this guy to back off a little bit and come back around. Okay, so as you see, we get a nice cut right there. Linebacker has to pick him up. And if our protection up top held true, we would have been okay on this play. But that's a type of rub even on a flood concept, right? Now, the other thing to note is right here, we have a lot of people chasing that concept, right? We have 1, 2, 3 defenders chasing that underneath route, right? All because we do a good job. Now, I wish we had more time. The Cowboys had an excellent defensive line last year, so it was tough sledding against that group. But let's watch it one more time and really watch the middle slot come open. Right? If we would have hit him, we would have been good. One other thing I want to talk about here, one teaching point as we're going, I'm going to do a whole session on route running and what I like about routes, but I want you to watch the 2 from the inside slot here. As he's coming down the line, what's he doing properly? Where are my Dickinson kids? Where does he finish? Put your answers in the comments, please. Friendly to the quarterback. Thank you, Ben Klassen. Right? Why friendly finishes are important. This defender right here, this defender right here, this defender right here are constantly in chase mode. By coming half a yard down the line, it creates a much harder angle for these guys to go. If Tristan were to come upfield instead of back, these two could get back in the play a lot quicker, right? So coaches who are online, talk about friendly finishes on every route you can. Okay, even coming back just half a yard on your routes, create an angle that's much more difficult for the defensive backs to play in, right? Really nice friendly finish from that slot back, and he's a viable route the whole time running away. Okay, moving into route number play number 7, a much snowier day, much like we have out today right now. Got a 4 receiver set. Again, we're going to be looking at the crossing routes. Okay, this is play 7. And the wideout gets completely lost at the end of this play. We had some protection issues, so the play didn't finish, but I want you to watch the wideout here and how by creating a bubble, he gets wide open. Okay, as he comes down, he has a defender chasing him from depth, kind of passes it off. Now, right here, I know the play breaks down here, but if we were able to finish this here, we've got a lot of space, right? A lot of space. So again, we're trying to create that bubble, right? From the inside slot and the wideout getting close together. Right there is where the bubble's created, right? We have 1, 2, 3, 4 defensive players, and around the player that I wanted to hit here, we have a nice bubble. So if he catches that in stride, we have a chance to turn this into a big play, right? Sorry about the end of this, Danny. You kind of get killed here, but that's okay. You're a tough kid. Okay, play number 8. This is another really good example of forcing a defender to bubble to create space. And the closer we can get to each other without colliding, the better. Okay? So again, 4 receiver concept. We're looking at that same play, crossing over right here. Okay? This is excellent. Okay? What he's doing is he's putting his body in between the defender who's chasing the wideout and him. Okay? He's not making contact, so there's no way anybody could say this is an illegal play. And we're creating that bubble. Now that we have that bubble, quarterback decides to go somewhere else, and I don't blame him. We had some wide open players back here. But right here, if we catch this ball in stride, we can turn it up, and we've got great speed here. So I want to show you that bubble one more time. Okay. Look how close the receivers get to each other. Look what it forces the cover defender to do. The cover defender is now 3 yards away. Okay. Again, as we run this through, look at the finish from this receiver here. Okay, a nice friendly finish coming a little bit downhill. Exactly what we want to see. Okay, that way if these guys are chasing, if he were to leak up here, this is an easy catch for this defender. But because he's coming slightly down line, we have a lot more space so that defender has to work through. Okay, and we're on play number 9. We're going to go back to a bit of a wider rub concept, and we see the defender again got caught up on the deep routes. Remember, a defender's worst nightmare is being beat over the top. And because of that rub action, because of the confusion, we have 2 defensive backs who decide to take the deep route, and no defensive backs take the under route. We create space for our receiver this way. Okay, let me show you what I'm talking about here. Okay, as we're motioning over, right here we have 2 defenders that are locked into the deep route. You know, this guy gets a little bit nosy. You can see his head. He's supposed to be a flat defender. He probably should be here to make the play. He decides to go a little bit deeper because he doesn't want to get burnt deep, and I don't blame him. But what that does is it creates opening space for this player right here. Later on in this game, we were able to take this play and turn it into an 80-yard touchdown because this receiver's a pretty speedy kid, and catching 5 yards in space allowed him to really take it deep. Okay, so again, this deep route, because of the confusion, because of the rub, nobody's sure who's going deep. So we have 2 defenders who decide to take the deep route, creating that space underneath. We have a nice catch here. Okay, if I roll this back a little bit, this player is the only person who could really make the play here. So again, when we're running those slants towards the line of scrimmage against zone coverage, be aware that you've got a hook to curl player and you need to look for that window, right? This player does a great job of motoring down. He's not going 100% here. And we get 5 yards without really having to work for it, right? Nobody gets hurt. Moving on to play number 10. This is a play based off the above route. And all we've done is we run this play to death for teams I coach. It's one of the ones I run all the time. But what happens when you run a play a lot is teams actually start to game plan against it. So you got to have some more tricks in your sleeve. So this play, we're going to have the receivers switch positions, okay? So as we come over, it looks identical, right? And this player is going to run the slant and then turn it up, and this player is just going to stop dead, right? Now, because of the confusion and because of my general rule about defensive backs not wanting to get burnt deep, we have a nice and easy throw here. I get that we're under some pressure and the quarterback doesn't necessarily make the throw as well as it could. But if this quarterback is able to throw this on a line here, we've got another 10 yards to go before we get tackled. Like, look at this, right? If we get the ball here on the 50, right, we've got 10 yards before the nearest defender, right? That's a really good situation. Now, we end up throwing it a little bit back and the play isn't successful, but the route concept was there. Right? So once you run your rub concepts enough, switch it up so so teams can't game plan against it. And now we're going to have teams playing base coverage against us because they don't know where people are going to end up and they don't want to get caught, right? I call this play scratch, Tyrell. Tyrell asked what I call this play. The reason why I call it scratch is because our defensive coordinator at the Raiders was called Scratch, and he wanted a play named after him. So that's the naming convention for this one. So named after the legendary John Scratch. One more time. So if you run that rub concept enough, this play kind of looks like that and plays off it. Okay, moving on to play number 11. Okay. Play number 11. Okay, yes. So we're going to throw this play side on a one-on-one matchup here, but I don't want you to pay attention to that. I want you to pay attention to the concept up top, okay? So we're looking at the 3-receiver concept over here. Tristan's coming in with speed. Now, again, this is interesting. We have 2 deep cover defenders because nobody wants to get beat deep. This player's underneath. If he motors down here and makes a catch, we have all of this space to go. This player's coming downhill, but he's good 10 yards away from making the play. Right? Now we end up deciding to go one-on-one here. We liked the look. Great catch. Unfortunately, it was out of bounds. But I want you to watch that top again and watch this receiver get lost. Based on the confusion, nobody wants to get beat deep, and we have that underneath, right? Okay, play number 12. Okay, so this is that deeper set. Okay, we're going to have both our slot backs run 9s. And we're going to have an underneath here. This play is a little bit dangerous. It makes me a little bit worried when I see it, but I wanted to show you anyway. Okay. We come over. The video's not as good. It's tough to get good video from that field in Bow Valley, but it is a beautiful field. As we're running this play, those 2 9s are going to push up. Now, I would have liked this player to push more to turn 15's hips because we're going to throw it right under 15. And if we don't make this catch, we are in some trouble. But this is a pretty good receiver. He makes a really nice grab here. Okay, but again, we're trying to rub that deep look, right? Okay. Moving along, play number 13. Okay, it's that rub concept again. Slot back's coming quickly. He's a little bit late, but he stops. So this is the play off it. That's that scratch play that I was telling you about earlier. Okay. Now again, if we hit him right here, that's an easy 5-yard play. Now I know, again, protection issues up top. But right here, we have some confusion. Players are going deep. We have the wrong person chasing, and we would have had a nice gain if we could have got the ball off, right? Again, all of these crossing rub concepts are designed to confuse and designed to create space. Moving on to play, I'm going to skip ahead to play 15 here. Play 14 was a double. Okay, again, we've got our rub. We throw to the backside here, but if you watch, this is exactly what we've seen when we run this play enough. Players are trained not to get beat deep. We have 2 defenders in man coverage. You can tell it's man by this guy bumping out, eyes locked on this receiver. But I don't want to get beat deep. Coach has told me nobody gets past you. If we hit this route right here and he motors down right in this spot here, we've got a nice lane to make some extra yards without having to take a whole heck of a lot of risk, right? Very low risk play. Now we end up deciding to take the free shot on the back and we go for there. So Coach Tyrell has asked, do you stay in 7-man protection for all of your passing plays? No. It just looks that way right now because of the concepts I'm trying to show. We run six-man passing protection, and very, very rarely do I run 5-man passing protection. I just like in high school and midget ball, I like to have that at least the fullback staying at home, trying to help with the protection. Okay, now we got play 16. Okay, this is another example. You're going to see defenders take the deep routes and not the underneath, right? So we're going to motion across, right? Everybody takes the deep route. We're going to actually take a shot on the other side. But again, look at number 6 right here. Right here, nobody's looking at him. He would have had a really nice play. We get a really nice play anyway, but again, the concept down low helps create the confusion that we're looking for, right? So there's the rub there. Now, what I don't have tape of yet, and I'll do a cut up once I get it, a lot of times teams in man coverage end up covering both take the under, and we end up getting the bust in coverage. How that happens, let's say this defender's up here and this defender is chasing over, right? How that happens is both people get caught up on the underneath and we get a bust in coverage here, okay? So against man coverage, these rubs can really create situations where we could get big plays, but against zone coverage, people still get confused, people still forget their jobs, and that rub creates the open play. Okay, play number 17. I'm going to skip ahead. Play 18. Let's have a look here. Okay, we're going to motion over again. Okay. Notice how lost everybody gets, and look how open we are. So this is man coverage. This is a man coverage look. Okay. Oh, sorry. Let's go back. Okay, we have a clue that it's man coverage. If you're paying attention on other calls, how would we think man coverage here? Let's go. Brody, you've been on my calls before. Brody, what's a tell here for coverage? Okay, Mateus and Nicholas say head and helmets. Correct. Okay, Keegan is saying that the motion is doing it exactly, right? So what we're going to have here, we're going to have this guy roll the safety. This guy's going to roll down. It's a form of man coverage, right? Now, as we get this play, look how much space we have between the guy who's supposed to be covering 17 and 17. That is a lot of room. We go the other way with it because we saw something we liked. It's a design play. So, Tyrell, this is an example of when we changed our pass blocking scheme to go 6-man. We do change it based on the teams that we're playing, but I'm a firm believer that I like my quarterbacks to have time to throw the ball. So unless I think the extra player is going to get me something by releasing him late into the play, or if you're playing against a team that is very strong with the run and you need to go all pass, those are the only times I'd look at a 5-man pass pro. But right here, okay, like I said, you're going to see 17. He has so much room. Okay, he doesn't even have to worry about the linebacker because the linebacker is gone. We end up making a nice play anyway. This was the fullback getting released late on the play. Okay, we got play 19 here. Coach Ford, I put this one in for you, knowing you'd be on the call. This is the one time where defensive coaches can get their hands up and complain because we actually get some contact here. As we're coming over, we've got the same rub concept that we've been talking about. We get nice and close, and right there we get a little bit of contact that creates a bubble. We end up throwing somewhere else because we saw that their safety was off a little bit, but we do have a nice bubble created right here. We could have thrown this under if we wanted to, but but we decided to throw to the 7 over the middle. Question. So for responsibilities, do you go tackles versus ends, guards versus tackles, and then center and RBs to pick up the extras? Let me see if I can. That is the end. Before I answer your question, Tyrell, is there any questions about rub concepts that we went over today? Let me see if I can find an example here. Well, Keegan, you're allowed to defend yourself. So if you're asking a defensive coach, they'll say any contact is a pick, but you're allowed 1 yard anywhere in your area, right? So to me, run your route, and if a defensive back runs through you to get to their guy, that's on them. But if you intentionally go and make contact with them, that's something else, right? So don't go downfield and make a block. But what you want to do is create a situation where that defender has to come through you to get to his responsibility. If you're able to do that and they make contact with you, that's on them, right? It's the same, and it works both ways. When we're running those crossing routes in the middle, sometimes linebackers will step up and just blow them up. A good linebacker will nail that crossing route and say, I was protecting myself. I thought the guy was coming at me and he was going to make a block or something. He was in my 1 yard bucket, and we go from there, right? So you're allowed 1 yard to protect yourself, if that answers your question. Now, before we end the call, I just want to address Tyrell's question. I want to see if I can get a good look here. Let's go. Trying to find the right look for you, Tyrell, so I can answer that question. Okay. So what I like to do with my Pass Pro, okay, is these 5 guys are responsible for the 4 down linemen and Mac, okay, or they're responsible in a 3-4. They're responsible for the 3 down linemen and the 2 middle linebackers. The outside linebackers are going to be picked up by fullback and running back, right? The reason why I like to do that concept is because if those linebackers don't blitz and they don't send extra people in, I can release those running backs to fill the zone, right? Sorry, I didn't mean to run the play here. So we're going to buy the first 5, including Mac, and then we're going to have the outside linebackers covered by fullback and running back. If they don't blitz, we're going to attack that area, okay? So every running back has what I call check release responsibilities. So their first responsibility is pass pro, and if those guys don't blitz, I don't want them helping the linemen. I want them to release, because if you release, you have basically the same effect of a screen pass on every play, right? If the linebackers don't blitz and they end up dropping to a zone and getting caught up in coverage, you now have a 3-yard pass to one of your most talented players, right? So does that answer your question? Perfect. All right. That is all my prepared remarks today. So I will give one last call. They can release to the Tyrell asked, do they release to the flats? I like them actually just filling where the linebackers were supposed to be. If they can fill where the linebacker was and the linebacker has gone to hook to curl, that's a really nice, easy throw for a quarterback to make, and we get our running back in space. You can release to the flats, but if you release to the flats too much, you might get caught up in that linebacker's hook to curl zone. So I like just replacing where the linebacker started, just because it's a nice 3-yard pass. Excellent. That's all I have for everybody. So if anybody has any questions, feel free to ask. Going once, going twice. All right. We will be back on Thursday. So enjoy your 2 days, and I'll see you then.